Closed captioning for tonight's game provided by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Call Geico or visit geico.com. The Buccaneers won the coin toss deferred, wanted the ball in the second half, so the Jags will receive first. The 0-2 Jacksonville Jags, neighbors to the north in the Sunshine State against the 1-1 Bucs. Let's check the field with Dan Lucas. Dan?
Hi, Chris. A little bit of rain here to the northwest. We may get wet here in the first quarter, but I spoke before the game with running backs coach Steve Logan, who said all that talk during the week from running back Derek Ward and his head coach Raheem Morris about his weight didn't affect him at all. He said his attitude in the meeting rooms, on the practice field, great. He expects a good performance from him tonight, and he says he's either going to do it or he's not going to do it. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks, Dan. He'll be keeping an eye on things down on the field as Jack Del Rio, head coach for the Jags, a team that went 7-9 last year and lost quite a few close games. Weren't that far from the playoffs, but lost their last 4 and fell out of the picture. And Raheem Morris, at age 33, as the cannons go off here at Raymond James, not celebrating a birthday, but he is one of 4 head coaches under the age of 40 currently in the NFL.
Under 40, closer to 30.
They're at age 33, barely in his second year. He was barely a coordinator. Of course, an original Buck, then at Kansas State as a coordinator and a head coach here as Connor Barth is ready to kick off to Scotty McGee for the Jags preseason game number 3, Bucs Jags, and game on. McGee from inside his 5-yard line. Plenty of room to the outside. Only Connor Barth is there. He slows him down enough as he gets to midfield. And McGee was on his way. If Tanard Jackson didn't get there, and if Connor Barth didn't force him to slow down and adjust his move.
Obviously not what you want to start a game, having your kicker have to make a touchdown-saving tackle. But a good job by Connor Barth. Not something that he practices much, I'm sure, but getting Scotty McGee out of bounds with the help of Tanard Jackson.
So a great start for Jacksonville on offense. From midfield, it is 1st and 10 for David Garrard. His 4th season as Jacksonville starter. Garrard to throw. Receiver is open. That's his tight end, Mercedes Lewis, inside the 25 of Tampa Bay. A healthy pickup. And let's take a look at the Nissan starting lineups for the visiting Jags. Rashad Jennings in the backfield because of Maurice Jones-Drew's knee. They're resting him, did not make the trip. Mike Sims-Walker, their leading receiver, and a offensive line with a couple of young tackles who they have high hopes for. After the 26-yard gain, 1st and 10. That is Jennings, brought down right away by Quincy Black, who is the leading preseason tackler for the Buccaneers. And the Nissan starting lineup on defense for the Bucs. You heard John talk about Gerald McCoy. We'll be watching him closely, and Styles White, whether he drops back into a 3-4 or not. At the linebacker spot, it's Black, Rude, and Hayes, your starters for the regular season, and Sean Jones in at that safety spot. Talib and Rondé on the corners. It's 2nd down 11 as Jennings remains in the backfield, and Garrard from the shotgun. Somebody move. And it looked like Rondé Barber made sure that Mercedes Lewis.
False start. Offense, number 89. 5-yard penalty. Still 2nd down.
Was called for the infraction.
And the previous play, Chris, we saw Quincy Black in the backfield of the Jacksonville Jaguars making a nice play. He has played outstanding this preseason. He's a guy that they are very excited about, the coaching staff, and rightly so. He really is playing outstanding football, really coming into his own as a pro.
Chance for the Bucs defense, John, here on 2nd and 16 to apply some pressure. Only 3 sacks in the preseason as Garrard throws and completes again to his tight end. And Geno Hayes brings down Mercedes Lewis, the former UCLA Bruin. It'll be a 3rd down for Jacksonville.
Mercedes Lewis, when you talk to anyone from Jacksonville, is a guy that they're just raving about. He's going into his 5th year. As you see Garrard throw it in the flat out to Mercedes Lewis, a big target at 6'6" and 275, but he's an outstanding blocker. is also a threat as a pass-catching tight end. Mercedes Lewis going to be a big target for David Garrard all season long.
3rd down and 9. Bucs send 4. Garrard has time, goes underneath, short of the 1st down. Jennings catches it, but is brought down in a hurry. And that'll bring up a 4th down situation for Jacksonville as Geno Hayes was on the spot to make sure that they didn't advance that any further.
Geno Hayes is another guy that Raheem Morris and that coaching staff are very excited about. He and Quincy Black are forming a tandem along with Barrett Ruud as the linebackers that they really believe is a strength of this team. Quincy Black pressured Garrard on that throw as well.
So a 35-yard field goal attempt for Josh Scobie, who has been a reliable kicker for Jacksonville. 3 of 3 in the preseason so far. The kick is up there. It's out there. And it's real good there. Jacksonville off the opening kickoff, marching into field goal range. And Jack Del Rio's team with a 3-0 advantage. The Bucs are on offense. Glad to have you watching here in Tampa Bay, along with John Lynch, Chris Myers with you, and Dan Lucas down on the field. And Clifton Smith, the mysterious illness believed to be something similar to gout with a swollen knee, where he was in pain. The former Pro Bowl return man who has been outstanding as a return specialist, kickoff and punt returns, leading the Bucs in that department last year before injury, as Scobie gets ready to kick off.
Big night for Clifton Smith. Obviously hasn't been out there to showcase his talents, and in his absence, guys like Sammy Strotter and Kareem Huggins have been showing that they're pretty good as returners themselves, along with Michael Spurlock.
So he's going to bring it out from deep in the Buc end zone. And the ball comes out. The ball is loose. And it's still loose and rolls towards the out-of-bounds marker, and the Bucs will retain possession despite the lost handle there. An inauspicious start. Let's see who knocked it out. The Bucs were fortunate to keep the football.
Rich Bisaccia, the special teams coach for the Buccaneers, the outstanding special teams coach, used to talk about when you carry that ball as a returner, you carry the hopes and dreams of this entire organization. And Clifton Smith a little loose with the ball, not off to a great start.
16-yard return before the fumble that went out of bounds. Cadillac Williams in the backfield with Josh Johnson, the quarterback, on 1st and 10. Johnson to throw and floats it down the sideline, and he has a man. That is Mike Williams. The rookie from Syracuse. 54 yards at the 35 now of Jacksonville.
This young man, Mike Williams, has been as good as advertised. They've been raving about this young kid from Syracuse ever since the start of training camp. Now, the quarterback fell there, but this guy does everything well, Chris. He gets open, he brings in the ball, and outstanding run after the catch skills. Good ball by Josh Johnson as well, and off to a good start for the Bucs backup.
All right, and it looks like Michael Spurlock has checked into the game, and it's a little bit of the, we said an offensive wrinkle, and this is the Bucs version of the Wildcat.
False start. Offense, number 82. 5-yard penalty. Still 1st down.
All right, Jerome Boger, our official here, and that call is on Kellen Winslow as we look at the Nissan starting lineups. We barely got to the lineup, so the Bucs are moving downfield. It is Ernest Graham with Cadillac and Josh Johnson in the backfield. The receivers, Sammy Strotter, you talked about Kellen Winslow, his first preseason activity this year, and Jeremy Zutaw in at guard for Davin Joseph, who has a quad muscle, and Zutaw showing that versatility as he is now in a backup role with Kedrick Vincent, the starting left guard, as Cadillac Williams carried. So, yes, the version, Spurlock, who had the big touchdown catch last week, the wide receiver, played some quarterback at Mississippi, and they wanted to have that kind of wrinkle in their game given the injury to Josh Freeman, and that Josh Johnson will be out there playing quarterback, and they just botched it with the penalty, but it's something we might see again or that teams will have to think about.
Absolutely, and Michael Spurlock is a guy who's not happy with Kellen Winslow right now because he's trying to make a roster, and the more you can do, as they say in this league.
Johnson to throw, and there is number 82, and that is Winslow, his first catch of the preseason. 77 catches, 884 yards, most in a single season in Bucs history last year by Kellen Winslow. As we look at the starting lineup, Tyson Alualu, their #1 pick, 10th overall out of California. And those are not the 3 starting linebackers that will open the season for Jacksonville. 2 did not make the trip. And Reggie Nelson, the ex-Gator, his first start in the secondary. He had been relegated to backup duty. On 3rd down, Cadillac in the backfield. Josh Johnson, here comes pressure. Picked up, has time to throw, completes. It came in and out of the hands of Mike Williams, but the official says no catch. And after a big play by Williams and Josh Johnson, a penalty and the drive stalls. And Connor Barth will come on to try a 51-yard field goal. It'll be right around that mark. In his NFL career in the regular season, 19 games, he's hit it 77%. He's 2 out of 2 in the preseason so far. Economos to snap. The rookie Brent Bowden, the holder. Connor Barth, the kick. And plenty good. So the fans that are here treated to a little bit of early offense, even though they end up with 3-3, and we'll have more on the Jags and Bucs from Tampa Bay in a moment. Bucs going over some things on offense. Let's take a look at the McDonald's scoring drive. McDonald's 3rd pound Angus burger. I'm loving it. It ends on a field goal, John, but you saw Clifton Smith and Kellen Winslow, the fumble, the penalty, 2 guys who hadn't played in the preseason, negatively affect that opening drive.
Yeah, take that, owners. For all you owners that think you only need 2 preseason games, you got veteran players that are showing the rust. Kellen Winslow and Clifton Smith, a little rusty coming back for the first action in the preseason.
And Barth to kick off. Hunter Lawrence was released earlier this week by the Buccaneers. McGee, who had the big return to start the game, brings it out of his own end zone, and this time he's brought down short of the 18-yard line, where the Jags will take over in a 3-all tie. Coming up at halftime, John Lynch will spend some time with Rondé Barber. We'll have highlights. And also 4 in the 4th, 4 burning questions that we want to cover, not only about the Bucs, but their opposition and the league is David Garrard, a guy who has started 32 straight games. That's the most by a Jag quarterback. And a guy who's under a lot of heat. There was talk about drafting Tim Tebow. They obviously passed on that option, so he knows he's on the spot. And in this game, no Maurice Jones-Drew coming off a Pro Bowl season. Quick throw to the outside, and it's complete, short of the 21-yard line. The Bucs were there in a hurry to smother it. And that was Ernest Wilford, who's played some receiver, but from his tight end spot, and Sean Jones making the tackle there, bringing up a 2nd down and 6.
And Sean Jones was aided again by Quincy Black. I mean, you talk about breakout players. I think they really have one in Quincy Black. This is a guy who has just flashed. He's all over the field. He can rush the passer. And I think Raheem Morris is doing an outstanding job utilizing his talents.
On 2nd down. Here comes Rondé Barber. They block him to the outside. Pass complete. Looked like he was right at the 1st down marker. Catch made by Tyquan Underwood, 7th round draft pick out of Rutgers in a 2nd year, and Sean Jones was there on the spot. It's interesting, the Jags came out, they went first to their tight end quite a bit. Now they're going in that same area.
And you see the pressure, and this is what you want to see from Sean Jones. I think that's what they were looking for when they brought someone in to challenge Sabby Piscatelli. They wanted some physicality back there to match, to go along at the safety position with Tanar Jackson, and Sean Jones brought it right there.
1st and 10, going deep and way overthrown everybody, intended for Mike Thomas as Garrard took a seat. He's now 5 out of 6 for 51 yards. Let's take a look at the pressure applied by the Bucs defense.
On the pressure, you're going to see Gerald McCoy break through a double team and get some heat. That's another good sign. I studied the film, and Gerald McCoy, for everybody who said in that first game he wasn't doing a whole lot, last week he showed flashes, and I I really believe you're going to see this young man continue to develop into what can be a dominant player in this league at such a critical position in this defense.
Two-time captain at Oklahoma, 3rd overall pick in the draft. Garrard on 2nd and 10, wide open, and he completes to Jennings, who has a first down. Penalty flag comes in on the end of the play as he goes out of bounds near midfield. And Sean Jones again there on the play from his strong safety spot. A 20-yard gain.
I believe it's going to come back a little bit. Jerome Boger. Typically, this is in the holding.
Illegal block in the back. Offense, number 85. 10-yard penalty. Replay, 2nd down.
It was on Ernest Wilford.
It was a block in the back, but when you bring pressure, you got to be on your P's and Q's. You got to know your assignment. Someone broke down for the Buccaneers right there. Nobody in the flat on Rashard Jennings. And Sean Jones made a nice tackle to bail somebody out.
So it's going to be a 2nd down from the 33-yard line. And they need about 6 for a first down. 2 receivers on the left in kind of a bunch formation with Jennings, the running back. Garrard to throw again. Quick pass, complete to Thomas, who goes out of bounds. See the ball in the air quite a bit tonight.
The Jaguars have been struggling to run the football. When they don't have Maurice Jones-Drew in there, they seem to go away from the run. And this is a team who traditionally is a running football team, but only averaging 34 yards per the first 2 preseason games, but throwing the ball very, very proficiently.
They're also without Deji Kareem, the rookie from Southern Illinois, in the backfield, so a little thin for Jack Del Rio's team. On 3rd down and a penalty flag, whistle blows. Looks like the Jags are going to get called.
False start. Offense, number 67. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
Vince Manuwai called for that penalty. We're 6.5 minutes barely into this quarter, and Jack Del Rio has seen enough penalties already to last a game. What it does for the Bucs as the crowd gets loud for defense, brings up a 3rd and 7. Rolling, penalty flags fly as he tries for the first down and gets it and goes out of bounds at the 46.5-yard line.
And it's always coming back when you see penalty flags in that backfield. I'm sure it will be holding on the Jaguars offensive line.
Holding. Offense, number 73. 10-yard penalty.
That's on
3rd down.
Evan Britton, the 4th penalty already against Jacksonville.
It's Gerald McCoy who's bringing the pressure on Evan Britton, and Evan Britton takes him to the ground, and 2 flags go flying. Jerome Boger and his officials on top of the action.
I was amazed when I saw Gerald McCoy in person, John, how wide he was, and I don't mean that in a negative way. That's his position, and he's tough to get around, or as he gets into 2 people, he kind of engages himself.
That's a big young fella down there.
40 consecutive starts at Oklahoma, which is a Sooner record for defensive linemen. On 3rd down, the Bucs send 4 and get to Garrard, who just does dump it off, and brought down in a hurry is Rashard Jennings, and Rondé Barber was there, and that'll bring up a punting situation. Only a 6-yard gain, so the defense closed in on Garrard.
And Chris, the Bucs are featuring a 3-man line along with Quincy Black. McCoy flashes in the middle, and Brian Price, their 2 young draft choices, putting the heat on Garrard early. Now, they brought these guys in to solidify the defensive line for the run, but we're also seeing that these guys are very proficient at pass rushing, and Buccaneer fans can only hope to see more of that with in our open, we talked about where they're going to get the pass rush. Well, your 2 young draft choices just brought it right there.
And the veteran Rondé Barber made the tackle. Adam Potlash punts. And that is Clifton Smith, who waves everybody away, and the ball bounces right to him, and he goes out of bounds. So he gets a kickoff return and now a punt return to get his feet wet. A 51-yard boot. The Bucs take over on offense in a 3-all tie. Be the first to play at the Glazers Children's Museum before it opens on September 25th. Log on to kidsgoldenticket.com for a chance to win. Be sure to enter the code BUCS, B-U-C-S, and good luck. Josh Freeman up in the coach's booth. Wide receiver coach Tim Burbidich up there along with the rest of the staff with a splint on the break in the top half of the thumb. It's over here, Josh. Don't worry. We'll be ready for opening day. We hope you will be. As Josh Johnson runs the offense. And that's Cadillac Williams on first down and not a lot of running room.
Talking to Josh Freeman on the field before the game, he said Raheem won't even let him on the practice field because he knows Josh Freeman, and Josh Freeman will try to pick up a football and figure out a way to throw. So every day he walks out on the practice field and Raheem says, get back in the building. He goes back to rehab.
And he wants to be out there, does Josh Freeman, but with that splint, probably late next week is when he'll be able to practice. They're just worried about the snap of a football jamming that thumb until it heals. Normally, it takes 6 weeks to recover, so you don't want to rush it. But he vows he'll be ready for the Browns in the regular season. Cadillac again carries on second down. It'll bring up third. And a bit of a challenge for Josh Johnson on this offense, a 1-yard gain. Again, Davin Joseph with a little bit of a quad injury out on that offensive line. But the Bucs want to establish the run this year regardless of who the running back, whether it's Cadillac in there or Huggins or Ward.
To this point in the preseason, they've done a much better job as an offensive line in creating running holes. I mean, they need to get back to that power running game, and this offensive line has done a much better job this year.
3rd and 9, Straughter and Williams on the right, Reggie Brown on the left. Josh Johnson steps up, has to hold on to the football, and Josh Johnson shows how quick he is with his feet as Anthony Smith brings him down across the 41-yard line. He has had some problems this preseason. I chuckled, John, because the coaching staff said that ball security is important. He's had 2 fumbles, he lost 1, he's thrown an interception, and here it almost got away from him.
You can't be loose with the football as a quarterback. You're handling it every play, but the one thing this young man can do is make plays with his legs. And the thing I like from the coaching staff is that they are encouraging that. A lot of coaching staffs would say, hey, let's stay in the pocket, find your receivers. He's got a strength. They're playing to it. Good job by Josh Johnson.
It was a pickup for a first down. Something defenses have to think about. That's Mike Williams on a little end run and smacked down at the line of scrimmage. I want to go back to Josh Johnson because if he were to happen to start or be the regular season starter, I'm sure that the Bucs would put in offensive coordinator Greg Olson some plays that would take advantage of his feet and running around and moving. But right now, John, they want to make sure he doesn't get hurt because, he's their guy until Josh Freeman returns.
Yeah, absolutely. If he did play during the regular season, you would see a package tailored to fit his skills. It would feature more moving the pocket, allowing him to utilize those running skills.
Cadillac Williams splits way out to the left as a receiver. Josh Johnson looks that way and throws underneath to Sammy Straughter. It'll bring up 3rd down.
We mentioned Sammy Straughter in the open getting the start at the Z, the receiver spot opposite of Mike Williams, but that's where the young man will do his damage, in the slot. That's where he is a lethal weapon, and it's so valuable on what's coming up right now, 3rd down.
After a 5-yard pickup, it'll be 3rd and 5. Battle of field goals so far, just about a minute and a half to go here in the opening quarter. Reggie Brown is in at receiver on the left side. Sammy Straughter and Michael Spurlock in as well for Josh Johnson. Here comes pressure. He gets rid of it and a little bit behind. It was intended for Reggie Brown. And Rasheed Mathis out of Bethune-Cookman College, terrific defensive back, was right there with Reggie Brown. And Reggie Brown's a guy who hasn't shown up a lot in the preseason, John, and here's a guy who had a chance to win a starting job.
He's a guy that they traded for in this year's draft. He's a guy that they've been raving about, continue to in his practice. He's a dynamic route runner, they say, but he hasn't shown up much in the preseason games, and he'll have to tonight. He's battling for a roster spot for sure.
Brent Bowden, the rookie, 9 punts so far, averaging about 37 a kick, and Scotty McGee watches it hit near the out-of-bounds marker, and the official runs all the way up to about the 27, 28-yard line. That is not a good punt for the rookie, and it's his job. There's nobody here to challenge him. Jags are on offense in just a moment. Come out, root for the Bucs in person. Tickets for that home opener against the Browns on sale. Starting at only $40 a game, call 800-745-3000 or go to Buccaneers.com to purchase and see the Bucs in action in person. Of course, next Thursday night, the wrap-up preseason game. John Lynch and I will be bringing you that from Houston as Rondé Barber chats with John Lynch at the half on 1st and 10. Rashard Jennings brought down in a hurry. Quincy Black again in on the tackle, and that's going to be a loss of 1 yard. And so far in the dress rehearsal, John, these are two football teams that don't look like they're on their A game for the regular season.
Not thus far, but you know what? This is pretty right there. Gerald McCoy, Quincy Black makes the tackle, but Gerald McCoy makes the play. This young man starting to play the game in the opposing team's backfield, and that's what you want out of a defensive tackle. A guy I played with, Warren Sapp, he lived over in the opposing team's backyard, and that's a good and a positive sign.
Under pressure, thrown underneath, and slipping away is Jennings. He made a lot out of that to get near a first down. And yeah, the poorest Bucs defense against the run last year, as you said, that's why they went for those tackles inside. And those are guys that so far they've been happy with in the preseason, and Price and McCoy.
You see him. It's a screen pass, and they're eventually going to let him go, but he blows right by his man. Quincy Black a little slow on the coverage, and Rashard Jennings gets a big gain for the Jaguars.
That's the end of the first quarter on the KFC scoreboard, and it's the visiting Jags 3 and the hometown Bucs 3. You get a free cake with any 8-piece meal or larger at the regular price at participating KFCs. We'll have more from Raymond James in just a moment. Glad you're watching here. Don't miss our final preseason broadcast. News Channel 8, WFLA. The Bucs take on the Texans live from Houston. No blackout. Bucs bonus pregame show starts Thursday night, 7:30. The kickoff is at 8. And for fanatical Bucs coverage, always leave it on News Channel 8, the official TV station of the Buccaneers. At the halftime, some time with John Lynch and Rondé Barber. Not just reliving the old Buccaneer defensive days, but talking about this team and the now of Tampa Bay. And then on Thursday night, we'll spend some time getting to know Gerald McCoy as he tells you how he has adjusted to going from a college big shot to the professional game.
Appears as if they're clearing the field like a lightning delay.
Yeah, we may have a suspension here. That was earlier when John Lynch was doing his homework with Rondé Barber. But one thing you couldn't prepare for, and we knew rain was in the forecast, the possibility in the distance, and so far we haven't had any. But the temperature cooling off, and because of lightning, this is the thing that the league will not take any chances with. And so they will suspend this game for a few moments. The officials will determine how long it is necessary. We may have your interview with Rondé Barber a little sooner than we planned.
In its entirety.
See if you can walk next door and get Josh Freeman from the coach's booth, see if he'll stop in and chat with us.
The Jaguars are becoming accustomed to this. Last week in Jacksonville, I think they had a 2-hour lightning delay versus the Dolphins and came back to complete the game. So we don't have 2 hours.
So we welcome you on Booth Camp. Along with John Lynch, Chris Myers, and our entire production crew, we thank you for watching. David Garrard, 9 out of 10 so far, 85 yards. In fact, the yardage in the game in the opening quarter, 83 for the Jags, 84 for the Bucs, and 53 of Tampa Bay's yards coming on that Mike Williams catch and carry on a nice throw from Josh Johnson.
And I think you mentioned it earlier, a little sloppy for both teams to start the game. I mean, you hear of a quarterback 9 of 10, but both teams a little loose with the football, people running free without coverage, and penalties on both sides. You want to see both teams clean up their games in this third preseason game.
4 penalties for Jacksonville in that opening quarter. Again, a suspension because of lightning here at Raymond James Stadium in the Tampa Bay area. And usually, John, when you would go into a game like this, when you played, I guess it was a little bit different around the league because your starters, I mean, this was pretty much a full dress rehearsal. And some teams now it seems like because of the off-season workout programs, they have a little bit of a different tact and that's so concerned about injury.
There are some teams that aren't treating it like they used to treat a third.
Garrard has started and gone all the way at quarterback. Rashard Jennings, no Maurice Jones-Drew in this game. Looked like a mixed-up play that Garrard hit the pitch, and if it was, penalty flag comes out as Jennings gets near midfield. David Garrard led all quarterbacks in rushing last year, 323 yards. Aaron Rodgers second on the list. the Buck quarterbacks, Josh Freeman and Josh Johnson, combined for
Holding. Offense. Number 78. 10-yard penalty. Replay. Third down.
Freeman and Johnson combined for rushing for over 300 for the Buck quarterbacks. Jordan Black, the reserve tackle, called for the penalty as Josh Freeman looks on from the coach's booth.
You come out of the break and you think we're watching old school Oklahoma-Nebraska option football on 3rd and 1, but utilizing, much like the Bucs are utilizing the athletic ability of their quarterback, Josh Johnson. David Garrard, a very skilled athlete at the quarterback position.
So 3rd and 9, a chance for the Buck defense to bring the heat. It looks like they are attempting to do that and then backing off. There's Rondé, then coming. He's coming. Garrard throws short. Did he make the catch? It was for Mike Sims Walker, and the official is saying he brought it in. Walker was the leading receiver for Jacksonville last year. There's going to be a challenge too from Raheem Morris. Oh, that hit the ground, John.
That appears as if it hit the ground, and Raheem Morris does a good job of getting that challenge flag out there. The Jaguars tried to go a quick snap so that Raheem couldn't get the challenge flag out there.
It's challenging the rule on the field of a completed catch.
We've already seen last week a challenge won by Raheem Morris. We will review this one with the officials and take a closer look. Under review, Jack Del Rio's receiver, Mike Sims Walker, with a pass that was short. He came back to it and made what would have been a spectacular catch, an 18-yard gain. This is how it was ruled a catch on the field, so there has to be evidence to prove otherwise. John, it looks like the ball bounces a little bit. Is it under his hand or does it hit the ground?
Well, Buccaneer fans should be familiar with this. The old Bert Emanuel rule has
get a low-scoring playoff game.
Yeah, out in St. Louis, but outstanding throw by Garrard, and I really think that's going to stay a catch. There's not enough evidence to show that it did hit the ground, and a beautiful throw by David Garrard, and absolutely spectacular catch by Mike Sims Walker.
E.J. Biggers there with him, who has won or at least is ahead in the nickel position. See what Jerome
After
Boger.
reviewing the play, the rule on the field stands. It is a completed catch. Tampa Bay will be charged a team timeout and one replay challenge.
Not enough evidence to turn that over, but I think the first reaction, maybe Raheem was watching Sean Jones too behind this come in and give the no catch signal as players try and influence.
And a good job by the Jacksonville Jaguars of rushing to the snap to go with the quick snap so that Raheem didn't have much time to look at replays.
So it's a 1st and 10 with Rashard Jennings carrying and has room. That's a good solid run. We had about a Sean Jones on the tackle there. A 30-minute delay because of the Lightning suspension. Picking it back up with the Jags moving the football here in the 2nd quarter.
Football coaches Jack Del Rio and Raheem Morris, they're always a little demeaning, and things like this, they like chaos. They like to see how their team's going to respond to going in the locker room for 15 minutes, and let's see how they do respond.
Running near the 1st down marker is Jennings. In his 2nd year out of Liberty, a 7th-round draft pick. And it is a 1st down. It's seems like Quincy Black and Geno Hayes and Sean Jones have been in on every play in this game so far. 1st and 10 from just short of the 43 of Tampa Bay. The linebacking core of the strength of this Buccaneer defense, of this Buccaneer team. 2 receivers on the left for Garrard. Looks to throw, and that is for Sims Walker and incomplete. Aqib Talib was with it.
Gerald McCoy on the pressure once again. Gerald McCoy's really had a strong game living in that Jaguar backfield. McCoy coming from Garrard's blind side to bring Garrard down. McCoy showing up all over the field as well.
We saw Kyle Moore from his end spot. Eric Lorig, one of the 7th-round draft picks, and you talk about all of them making him. We'll see it in the 2nd half, and he's a guy that can make or break his roster spot tonight. Quick pass is complete to Mike Thomas. And they whistle him down right away, so that'll bring up third down as Tanar Jackson was there to bring down Mike Thomas.
You talk about Rondé Barber, and that's the spot. You know, people talk about him as a cornerback. Where he is a Hall of Famer is in that nickel spot. There's nobody better. And watch the quickness. In his 14th year, people say, can he still play? Look at him in the open field, bring down a young player in Mike Thomas. And he's been making plays like that for a long time and continues to do so at a very high level.
Third down and 9. This looks like a three-man front from the Bucs defense. They send the linebacker. The ball is loose back inside the 40. Garrard is on the run. McCoy is back there to watch him go out of bounds. And Jacksonville will face a fourth down and a punting situation.
We talked about the need to generate pass rush. In order to do so, they'd have to be creative. Watch Quincy Black playing a defensive lineman along with the three-down lineman. Gerald McCoy playing some defensive end in that look. Brian Price at the middle. Raheem Morris doing a very nice job of throwing some different looks, and also the benefactor of a bad snap from Brad Meester.
So Adam Podlesh into punt, and Clifton Smith back. A penalty flag on the snap. Smith is going to wisely let that thing go into the end zone. We'll see what the call is. Bucs could have it on the 20. 11:34 to go. That's Rich Bisaccia, special teams coach, with his head coach. And the officials discussing the situation. The flag flew at the snap around the 47-yard line. Jags have had numerous penalties already.
So the question here, it looks like it's a false start on Jacksonville. It's whether they want to have Jacksonville re-kick or just tack on 5 yards at the spot, which would be the 25-yard line after the touchback.
Well, which would you take?
Just give it to me on the 25, yeah. Unless you want to see Clifton Smith. That's, you know, you want to see Clifton Smith get some work.
There are 2 fouls on the play, both against the kicking team. Illegal formation. Offense number 59 was not lined up on the line of scrimmage, and those were downfield on the kicking team number 33. Tampa Bay has elected to have the 5-yard penalty added to the end of the run. First down. Timeout.
A clear explanation, and so the Bucs will get it at the 25-yard line. So Josh Johnson, Cadillac Williams, and Mike Williams on offense when we return in just a moment. We hope that you'll all be with us for our final preseason broadcast on News Channel 8 of this preseason. The Bucs and the Texans. It's live from Houston. Don't worry about the blackout. It'll be on live at 8 o'clock. Bucs bonus pregame at 7:30. Fanatical Bucs coverage on News Channel 8, the official TV station of the Buccaneers. We'll spend some time at the half with Gerald McCoy in that game. More with Rondé Barber here. On 1st and 10, Cadillac Williams is in the backfield. Sammy Strotter and Mike Williams, the receivers, as Cadillac carries. And the offensive line has not looked good when it's come to running the football early in this game against Jacksonville's #1 defensive line. But again, reserve linebackers are in there. None of the 3 starters for the Jags.
And with that depleted linebacking crew, you would like to see them own that line of scrimmage and make some push, and that's not happening tonight, and I'm sure it's something they talked about during the intermission. Let's get that, let's control that line of scrimmage. It hasn't happened thus far.
Cadillac remains in. We've yet to see Derek Ward. Sammy Strotter and Mike Williams, your receivers, as Cadillac carries. An ankle tackle made by Anthony Smith from his safety spot, and it'll bring up third down.
When you have a young quarterback in particular, and Josh Johnson, who's seeing his first action with starters, you would like to run the football, make his job easier. You put him in 3rd and 7 situations. It gets tough as a quarterback in this league. The pressures start coming, the 4-man rushes, you drop into coverage, the 3-man rushes. It becomes a much tougher football game for a quarterback on third and longs.
Mike Williams, Reggie Brown in at receiver with Sammy Strotter. Passing situation for Johnson, who goes down the middle to Cadillac, who was trying to get a first down. He got close to the 35-yard line. And we'll see Derek Cox eventually brought him down.
Jerome Boger quick to say 4th down. It looks like
Yeah,
I'd ask for a spot for sure.
Well, already losing a challenge. I thought he had it, but maybe I'm just seeing it from the Buccaneers' view.
Josh Johnson with an accurate pass to Cadillac Williams. He eludes the first player, but the swarm comes, and you don't have that other challenge now that you've lost one.
So in the punt, Brent Bowden, whose first kick was nothing to brag about. Scotty McGee, penalty flag on the snap, and McGee runs up to it and is brought down. Another penalty flag comes out as he is stopped short by Nico Kudavidis. Stopped short of the 35-yard line. A 32-yard kick, and looked like 2 different penalties. We'll see what this officiating crew comes up with. There were 2 infractions on 1 play the last time we had a punt.
There are 2 fouls on the play, both against the kicking team. Illegal formation, kicking team number 58, not being on the line of scrimmage. This penalty is declined. Personal foul, kick catch interference, kicking team number 21, 15-yard penalty from the end of the run, automatic, 1st down.
And that
Timeout.
call against Savvy Piscatelli, the first infraction against Quincy Black, but obviously they're going to take, the Jags will take what works to their advantage.
Savvy came running by the returner. I don't know if he did bump into him, but that's not something you can review. Let's watch the end of the play, and that's where the personal foul occurred. And you see Savvy Piscatelli. Well, you know, this isn't college where you have, there's no halo rule. I don't think there was contact there, but the referee saw it differently.
And the frustration, it's already been a bad week for Savvy Piscatelli, continues. Jags will have excellent field position and will continue from Raymond James in just a moment. John Lynch, Chris Myers, Dan Lucas down on the field. 9:10 to go in the first half. A suspension of lightning put a delay in this between the first and second quarter. On 1st down, David Garrard throws, and that is to Montel Owens. Bring up a 2nd down from the midfield. Mark is where the Jags have that 1st and 10 off of the penalty. It still is debatable.
Let's watch Geno Hayes right here kind of get turned around. He thinks it's run, then he thinks it's pass. Now he loses his receiver. Tough snap for Geno Hayes, and kind of indicative of what this game's looked like for the Buccaneers. It's been a sloppy game, and you really want to see these guys play better in this 3rd preseason game, which is your dress rehearsal for the regular season.
Might need to change the dress. Pass complete to Mike Thomas for a 1st down. It was a crisp looking play, and Rondé Barber in coverage. We haven't seen a whole lot of Myron Lewis, the Bucs 3rd-round draft pick, a corner from Vanderbilt. E.J. Biggers has been active in the secondary and on special teams this preseason. So 1st and 10 from the 35, and Owens, normally a fullback, as Quincy Black brings him down, but without Jones-Drew and Karim the rookie, we've seen Jennings play quite a bit in the backfield with David Garrard.
You mentioned Quincy Black on the tackle. I keep saying it, but it's because the young man keeps showing up. One guy who hasn't been sloppy is Quincy Black. Again, continuing to play at a high level as a linebacker, as a pass rusher. He's making things happen all over the field for the Buccaneer defense.
E.J. Biggers comes in to work at one corner on 2nd and 8. And off to Montel Owens. That big offensive line of the Jags moving the Bucs forward. Quincy Black again involved in the attack. Oh, and there is Biggers out of North Miami Beach High School at Western Michigan.
He's really played his way into that 3rd corner spot. You don't really call it the nickel because it's Rondé Barber that moves into the slot, the nickel position on 3rd down, but Biggers will go outside, and he's played outstanding football this preseason to earn him that job thus far.
So it is 3rd and 1. Owens, first down, Jacksonville. The Jags have settled into a drive, pushing past as Gerald McCoy eventually made the stop. The Bucs' first-round draft pick.
This is where, as a team, as a defense, you got to say, come on, fellas, we're a little sloppy. Let's bow our neck here and at least keep them to a field goal. And to do that, you got to put them in 3rd and long situations. They've been allowing too many 3rd and short situations.
Owens remains the back on 1st and 10. Garrard, short pass to Thomas. Picks up a good chunk of yardage, and sloppy, an understatement. 6 penalties for the Jags, 2 for the Bucs, and on some plays we've had 2 penalties on 1 play. White making the tackle on that 7-yard gain inside the 15-yard line of Tampa Bay. Owens carries, pushing toward the first down on the 10-yard line. Barrett Ruud on the tackle. And it's 1st and 10 for Jacksonville. Exactly at the 10 of Tampa Bay.
And this really is, you get these long drives, it's where the leadership of this defense, and whether that be Rondé Barber, Barrett Ruud, you got to stand up. They had him in the backfield there, sloppy tackling by Tenard Jackson and the crew. This is where you really got to toughen up as a defense and set the tone for your entire year.
Garrard for Jared Dillard. And Quincy Black kept him from getting to the goal line. Jared Dillard, a backup receiver behind Troy Williamson. Mike Sims Walker at the other side. It's 2nd down and goal from the 1.
David Garrard looking real crisp, and Tenard Jackson takes a calculated risk of trying to get a pick. If you're going to go for that pick, you better get the pick, and allows Jared Dillard to get valuable yardage.
Montel Owens knocked down short of the goal line. Like Kobe Smith was in as well. Geno Hayes forces a 3rd and goal. Garrard 15 out of 17 for 124 yards so far in the game. 5 defensive linemen in for the Bucs on 3rd and goal for the Jags. Garrard, end zone, intercepted. That's Barrett Ruud. Barrett Ruud still moving inside the 20 of Jacksonville. An 80-yard return for the Bucs middle linebacker.
And the stadium isn't yelling boo, they're yelling Ruud. And we just talked about it. When you're struggling as a team, when you're struggling as a defense, the other team's going on a long drive, you need your leaders to step up and make a play. I mentioned Barrett Ruud's name, and Barrett took that leadership. Now, that's one thing from Barrett, a very good football player. Maybe why he hasn't got that, they're looking for those splash plays, those big impact plays, and that's it right there. And watch what that can do to a football team. I bet you this offense comes out a little more inspired as Barrett Ruud got this whole stadium woken up.
Derek Ward checks it at running back. On 1st down, Josh Johnson throws low, but a nice grab from Jeremy Stevens for a 1st down inside the 10 of Jacksonville. You and I talked in the lightning delay about the good old days when the Bucs were carried by defense, and that was one of those moments that turned the stadium upside down as Jacksonville was threatening to score, and Ruud picks it off from one end zone and goes 80 yards.
And those good old days, oftentimes you make a play on defense that not only inspires your defense, it inspires the whole team, and you can feel momentum shift now to the Buccaneers.
Sammy Strotter is on the left, Reggie Brown on the right. Derek Ward gets the carry and goes nowhere. Derek Ward, who Raheem Morris challenged, if you will. He knows what he has to do. A veteran like him has to show up in shape. He'll turn 30 years old on Monday.
Appears as if they've seen enough of Cadillac, and now they want to go towards the evaluation of that roster. You know, Derek Ward, Kareem Huggins. Let's see who's going to be that back behind Cadillac Williams.
Looks like 3 receivers over on the right. Sammy Stroughter, Mike Williams, and Reggie Brown. And Derek Ward remains the back from the shotgun. Here's Josh Johnson, pressure coming to the end zone for Reggie Brown, and incomplete, but a penalty flag is down.
Defensive holding on the Jaguars. But Reggie Brown, when you're battling for a roster spot, the ball's in your hands. You got to make those plays.
He is one of those 4 receivers you talked about, battling for 2 spots.
Holding. Defense. Number 31. 5-yard penalty. Automatic. First down.
The call is on Scott Starks.
See a very good job by the Buccaneers offensive line. Derek Ward a little late on his protection, but Reggie Brown with the ball in his hands. But you do see him come up with his right there. There's the evidence of that holding.
The hold was actually earlier in the picture there, and that's why it was called.
Yeah.
So the timeout with 2 seconds before the 2-minute warning. The Bucs do have 2 timeouts remaining. They get a fresh set of downs.
We have Roy Miller checking in at fullback.
We talked about that situation with Adam Hayward. They do not have a rushing touchdown in the preseason. Ryan Purvis moving around. Ernest Graham is in the backfield, and Graham gets it and plows forward, but well short of the goal line. So we have hit the 2-minute warning. You've been warned. We'll see if the Bucs can put it in the end zone and take the lead here at Raymond James Stadium. All right, the Jacksonville defense trying to take a stand against the Bucs and their cheerleaders. They wouldn't move during the timeout for some
That's what you call an in-state rivalry right there. They're trying to hold that line of scrimmage, and I think the cheerleaders are winning. So good job, Bucs cheerleaders.
Maybe the Jags just wanted a better look of the best cheerleading unit in the NFL. 2 tight ends will be in. That's my opinion. I'm allowed to express that. Not necessarily the opinion of everybody in this broadcast booth.
But look at the focus of those cheerleaders. Just go about your job. They aren't going to move, so what?
Smiling,
job done.
Smiling like they're in the dessert room at Burn's Steakhouse. All right, they need 2 yards for a touchdown. Derek Ward's the running back. Josh Johnson's looking for the end zone, throwing that way, and it is a touchdown. Ernest Graham. Mr. August delivers before the calendar runs out on him.
You know, Chris, as a defensive football player, you got to be a smart football player. The play before, you got big old Roy Miller there at fullback. Now you bring Ernest Graham back in, who is your regular fullback. You might want to think that they're not going to run the ball, that they're going to put him out to the flat. And good job by Greg Olsen in being creative, being flexible. Nice throw by Josh Johnson.
And Connor Barth, the extra point. He does have a 51-yard field goal in this game as well. So the ex-Gator from his fullback spot hauling in a touchdown pass for the hometown Bucs. Ernest Graham on the touchdown catch, and a look at the McDonald's scoring drive. Gives the Bucs a 10-3 advantage here in the second quarter. After the interception by Barrett Root, a short field. And they punch it in. McDonald's 3rd-pound Angus burger. I'm loving it. And loving the performance of Josh Johnson, 6 of 8 so far. Kick off the season Friday, September 10th at the Janus Live, the official kickoff party presented by Miller Lite. Appearances by Buck players, cheerleaders, the Paper Tongues, and Master Mike will be there. Visit Buccaneers.com for details. As Scotty McGee takes the kick from Connor Barth and moves up across the 25-yard line. Josh Johnson also a big rush for 18 yards. But the touchdown toss has the Bucs out in front. We'll get a look at Tampa Bay on defense in just a moment.
And this is still a stadium where defense invigorates this crowd, and Barrett Ruud made a heck of a play to really inspire this whole team. Watch Barrett Ruud. They're going to run an old corner flat, and Barrett Ruud just reads his keys and makes an outstanding break on the football, and in the process inspired the offense, inspired the crowd. Listen to the crowd now. People are back in this game. Great job by Barrett Ruud of taking leadership, taking ownership, and putting the Buccaneers back on top.
And some excellent help from some of his defensive teammates blocking downfield for that 80-yard return. Garrard on first down from the pocket throws and completes to Mike Thomas, knocked down short of the 35 by Rondé Barber. And Barrett Ruud, one of at least a dozen players that are likely to be unrestricted free agents after this season.
See David Garrard get back in the, but the nice sign for the Bucs is that the pressure has been there tonight. You don't always need the sacks, but you need pressure.
Dropped by Troy Williamson. He was open with Aqib Talib standing behind him. Jags have all 3 of their timeouts remaining with 1:17 to go here. So a 3rd and 2 from the 35. Tim Crowder checks in, going inside to try and put some pressure up the middle on Garrard, and they're going to run it to Montel Owens, who has a Jacksonville first down across the 40 of the Jags. And a timeout by Jacksonville. Well, last week the Bucs forced 3 turnovers, and the big one tonight changed the complexion of this game. It was tied at 3. Jacksonville looking to get some points. It went the other way, and then the offensive Raheem Morris was able to get the touchdown. Big difference than just settling for 3.
Absolutely, and they brought big Roy Miller in at fullback and wanted to pound that ball in, but then you bring Ernest Graham in, you fake the play action after you've just pounded him, and you go out to the flat. And Ernest Graham has terrific hands. His versatility as a fullback was shown right there, and a nice throw by Josh Johnson.
1:11 to go on 1st and 10 in this first half. Garrard throws short, hauled in by Zach Miller from the tight end spot. Former quarterback at 6'4" as the clock continues to run.
Nice pressure again. That time it was Styles White. It's a positive sign if he's showing up, because he hasn't much this preseason.
And that is complete for a first down. Nice catch by Jared Dillard, his 2nd year out of Rice. A player in college who had a reputation of catching everything but had the drops last year. He hangs on there as Jacksonville uses a timeout. They have 1 left with 42 seconds before the half. Don't forget the 4th quarter. Our 4 in the 4th. Candid answers from John Lynch of some burning questions that Bucs fans, football fans, want to know. And of course, Luke McCown, the former Buccaneer, we will probably see him see some action. The plan was for the starters that did open here and that we figure will open when the regular season begins to go at least into the 3rd quarter. Now remember, the Bucs deferred, which was an interesting move when they won the toss. They wanted the ball in the 2nd half.
And that could be. They want to see that offense get the ball going into that 3rd quarter. They want to see their offense go in, make adjustments at halftime, and come out in the 3rd quarter and put those adjustments into play. May have been much more of a calculated decision in terms of deferring the opening kickoff.
So a first down from the 43. Garrard again throwing underneath. This is Ernest Wilford, who goes out of bounds to save their timeout as the clock stops. A 9-yard pickup, getting closer to field goal range for Josh Scobie, who is capable of 50 or so. Jack Del Rio, former linebacker when he played the game. At USC, not only a college football player, but an outstanding baseball player, was a catcher for a big, tall pitcher named Randy Johnson. 2nd down 1. Garrard, quick pass, complete for the first down to Brock Bolin, his fullback. And a nice 2-minute drill by David Garrard on this Jacksonville offense.
And Sean Jones came off the corner with pressure and realized halfway through that he had Brock Bolin in the flat. You see Garrard with the easy throw, Sean Jones with a bust on that play. So
another first down. from just beyond the 26 of Tampa Bay. Gerard with time. Throws short, a little high, and again to his fullback. Working underneath. And already in field goal range. Josh Scobie has made a 53-yarder before. That's an 8-yard pickup there. They probably want to milk the clock, take a shot at the end zone, and if not, take 3 to end the half.
And if you're the Bucs, obviously you'd like to get the football back with the turnover, but you want to hold them just to a field goal. You've seen them on this series employ the philosophy of keep the ball in front of you, make them work for all the yards that they're getting. Now you got to keep them out of the end zone.
David Gerard for the end zone and knocked away. In between, it was Geno Hayes with 2 Buccaneers surrounding the intended receiver, Zach Miller. 3rd and 3.
An outstanding coverage by Geno Hayes on that play. I'm sure he's upset with himself for not catching the football, but outstanding. And it all works together. When you create pressure, you see Michael Bennett, some pressure, but Geno Hayes with a very nice play and kicking himself for not finishing the play.
Bucs defense on 3rd and 3. Gerard at the 15, knocked out right away is Dillard. Good enough for a first down, but the clock may be the enemy of Jacksonville now. They used their last timeout with 11 seconds to go before the half. Remember, the Jags were down close at the 1-yard line. Jack Del Rio opted to have his quarterback throw, and that's when Barrett Ruud came up with the big interception versus run when they successfully moved the ball downfield, rushing the football. Of course, now you only have 11 seconds to go.
And you never know as a player what that play is going to be that changes the course of a game. And you're looking at a 14-point swing, really, because the Jaguars on the 1 going in. Barrett Ruud intercepts that ball. 2 plays later, they're in for a touchdown. Huge play by Barrett Ruud and the offense on the subsequent possession that turned into a touchdown.
So from the 15-yard line with no timeouts, and that is a factor here on first down. Four wide receivers for Gerard for the end zone and through everybody, and almost another pick as Gerard goes down and a penalty flag goes down.
I think you're going to have 2, a false start and a rough in the passer at the end by Styles White. Excuse me, a
There
hold.
are 2 fouls on the play. Illegal formation, offense. Number 75 was not lined up on the line of scrimmage. That penalty is declined. Holding, offense. Number 75, 10-yard penalty. Replay, first down.
That was 2 penalties on the same player in one play.
Excuse me, Styles G. White. It was Eugene Monroe who lined up in the backfield and then held Styles. And yeah, he tackled him. That would be a hold. And Styles, when I was with the Bucs, was Greg White. Now he's Styles G. White.
I'm glad you're still John Lynch. All right, Josh Scobie will try from 43. Try to inch the Jags just a little bit closer. Pablas the holder. The kick is up and through. Scobie delivers with 1 second remaining. Obviously, the Jags just opted after that dual penalty on one play to settle for the field goal and a 4-point Buccaneer advantage. Jacksonville coming in here 0-2, 2 close losses in the preseason. You talked last week, John, about the Bucs, how important even in the preseason, just with a young team, the mentality about in terms of winning and playing winning football, facing a winning situation. This might be one of those scenarios tonight at home with a 4-point lead going to the half.
Well, absolutely, and I think for both teams, you look at the Jacksonville Jaguars, they finished last year with the NFL high, 16 rookies on their roster. So they're going through a similar process in terms of a youth movement. General Manager Gene Smith has gone young in Jacksonville. The Bucs are young. I think it's important to have success in preseason to get that winning culture on your side.
Our McDonald's scoring drive. Jacksonville winding up with the Josh Scobie field goal, covering nearly 2 minutes of time running out on them. So he has provided all the scoring. McDonald's with their Angus Berger, we're all loving it. 1 second to go here, so a chance for maybe a dazzling return as Scobie kicks off and just kind of dribbles it across the 40-yard line where the Bucs fall on it. And that will end the first half. Coming up, Rondé Barber, the interview with John Lynch as one defensive back to another, one Buck to another. And in the fourth quarter, our 4 in the fourth, we'll also get a look at some of the young wide receivers of the Buccaneers here in the second half. Talk more about the battle for that position, and Coach Raheem Morris is with our Dan Lucas. Dan?
All right, thank you very much, Chris. All right, Coach, your defense, I was going to say, gave you 2 stops. They gave you 3 here at the 2 minutes, the opening kickoff, obviously, and then the Barrett Root play.
You know, I would have liked to get that last 2-minute stop from the defense. Other than that, I didn't see the yardage or anything like that, but it was a pretty good showing for those guys to hold the team to 6. You know, we're all about points, and we're about getting the ball back. We had great pressure on the quarterback tonight with our guys. I got to do a better job in 2 minutes to get these guys prepared, and I'll take that bullet right now until I watch some tape.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Chris, back upstairs to you.
Raheem Morris, his Bucs leading after the Josh Johnson touchdown throw to Ernest Graham. John Lynch spent some time with Rondé Barber coming up here at the half. It was the Barrett Root interception that turned things around, and the Bucs will get the football coming up here in just a moment with a 4-point lead. John Lynch looking on, and we're glad you're watching. John, what caught your eye in the first half?
Well, it wasn't pretty, but they needed a play, and Barrett Root's the guy that stepped up and made that play. I think a couple things that are concerning. You'd like to see them run the football better. You're going against the Jacksonville defense without their 3 starting linebackers. You've only run for 25 yards, and you're only averaging about 1.5 yards per clip with your running backs.
And the defense, of course, David Garrard, the least intercepted quarterback in the history of the NFL, but that turnover shook things up as Josh Johnson came in and connected on a 55-yard play with Mike Williams, and that set up the first score, which was a 51-yard field goal by Connor Barth. Josh Johnson here going to his tight end, Kellen Winslow, his first action of the preseason, and the Barth field goal. And in between the first quarter filled with numerous penalties on the part of Jacksonville, we had a lightning suspension for almost a half hour. Once we got to playing in the second half, pass completion by Johnson. We mentioned he was 6 out of 8, and then to Ernest Graham in the end zone. You talked about him at the top of the broadcast. A fullback, but very versatile, could play halfback, has good hands. And that's really the difference. The Chiefs, or I should say, the Jags add a late field goal to get to within 4.
And Josh Johnson handled himself well. We wanted to see what he would do in a starter role. He was very efficient and threw the nice touchdown pass to Ernest Graham.
And we could see him here in the third quarter before Rudy Carpenter comes on as Scobie kicks to Clifton Smith, and deep in the end zone, wisely says we will take this football out on the 20-yard line. We saw Cadillac run, as you say, not so much behind the offensive line that was missing David Joseph at the start. Derek Ward came in. We have not seen the star of the preseason so far on the ground, the leading rusher, Kareem Huggins. And Derek Ward begins the second half with Josh Johnson.
And the starters are out there for the most part. As you mentioned, Derek Ward's out there in place of Cadillac Williams, and Jeremy Stevens takes over for Kellen Winslow, and it looks like Reggie Brown is in for Sammy Strotter as well.
And that wide receiver spot behind the 3 that are on the team, Mike Williams, Aurelius Ben, and Strotter, is up for grabs. And so is this throw that is overthrown, and the Bucs seems like they're trying to get a look at Reggie Brown. He had a chance in the end zone where he was interfered with, but the ball went off his hands.
It's so hard in these preseason games. You've got certain guys you want to get certain looks. Reggie Brown did have the opportunity down in the end zone for the touchdown pass, but they're trying to get him the ball. Same thing with Clifton Smith. He gets a touchback here. He lost one the opening kickoff. He was carrying the ball loosely, but just hasn't had a lot of opportunities, and these are players that they need to see because they're on the bubble.
Mike Williams, who had the big catch in the first half, the rookie 4th-round pick, who's a star out of Syracuse, at least so far, is on the left side. And a nice move by Derek Ward.
And that's the most explosive we've seen Derek Ward throughout this preseason. And I mentioned in the open, this guy is a good football player. He may not be having a good preseason, but watch him right here. He's going to take the run out and a good cut. That's what you haven't been seeing. You haven't been seeing him breaking tackles. You haven't been seeing him with explosive breaks.
His best run of the preseason, 9-yard gain, 3rd and 1. And he stays in the game. Splitting out is Reggie Brown on the right side. Josh Johnson's throwing for it, and a first down catch across the 40. Turning around to make that catch was Mike Williams. He doesn't miss anything.
This kid has been good, and you know he's been good in things. That's a back shoulder fade. That's a veteran move right there. It's a young rookie who's seemingly mastered that somehow, and he's been very proficient. Josh Johnson knows that he's got a good receiver out there, and he's going to throw it to him. And you throw to that back shoulder against a veteran, Rasheed Mathis. Mike Williams continues to account for himself very well on the football field.
So a first down from the 41. Williams and Brown are the receivers on the right for Josh Johnson. Derek Ward's in the backfield, and Johnson looks to throw. Steps up, has time, throws, and completes to his tight end, Jeremy Stevens, just short of midfield. And I think, John, that the Bucs are believing that all four, when I say all four, Ryan Purvis and John Gilmore, the other two, they're going to keep 4 tight ends. That's the way they're thinking at the moment.
And I think the conventional wisdom was going into the year that 3 guys were probably safe. Kellen Winslow, Jeremy Stevens, and John Gilmore, who's your good blocker. Ryan Purvis has really played his way onto this roster. He still has to make it. We haven't seen him tonight, but he's played good football and impressed the coaching staff.
Hand off to Derek Ward. Nice move. Look at him dazzling through the Jacksonville defense. Did I say dazzle and Derek Ward in the same sentence?
You did, and I keep going back to this guy's a proven player in this league. Sometimes it takes a guy like Kareem Huggins taking your job to get you to perform like this. And you know, one of the things I've learned in this league, you can't have enough good running backs. You only have so many roster spots, but you need 2, 3, sometimes 4 halfbacks. And Derek Ward can add a lot to this team, particularly when he's running like that. We're seeing a different Derek Ward, particularly in this second half tonight.
12-yard gain. The runs are getting better for Derek Ward. Another first down as Johnson throws, and what a catch. Inside the 20 is Mike Williams again. At 6'2" and 212, he moves well and has smooth hands.
The thing you love about this young kid is the way he plucks the ball with his hands. He is not a body catcher at all, which oftentimes rookies are very nervous, and so they're going to go to body catching. He's consistently throughout this preseason run precise routes and then plucked it with his hands in traffic.
And Johnson delivered it. Josh Johnson at San Diego set passing efficiency records. That was in the college game. Looking sharp here. Jags show pressure, and Ward brought down in a hurry by Anthony Smith coming up from the strong safety spot. That's going to be a loss of a couple.
And ultimately, Greg Olsen, Raheem Morris, they want to score points however they can score points, but you would like to see your offensive line take over and really control the line of scrimmage, which they haven't done as of yet today.
Going against a Jacksonville defense that has Tyson Alualu, the rookie, and Derek Harvey, and Eric Campman, the former Packer. Johnson to throw, and it's high and incomplete. And that had to be high to overthrow 6'7" Jeremy Stevens.
Josh Johnson gets pressure, can't set his feet. Throws out to Jeremy Stevens. And looks like there was a screw up in the route somewhere. Usually you don't see a fullback and tight end standing out there together. Josh Johnson a little errant on the throw, but pressure caused him to be inaccurate.
So 3rd and 12 and a half, we'll call it, from the 22. Reggie Brown goes out to the right, and 2 receivers on the left. Strotter and Williams on the left side. Josh looked that way, and then now goes to the right side, and incomplete off the hands of Reggie Brown. Strike 2.
Would have been a tough catch for Reggie Brown, but those seem to be the catches you need to make if you're going to, get one of those last roster spots as a wide receiver. There's an old coach, I believe it was Tom Landry. If it's in you, if it touches your hands, you catch the football. And Reggie Brown had a couple tonight that slipped off those fingers.
So Connor Barth, who was telling me in pregame warmups that yoga 6 days a week, goes back to North Carolina in the offseason. He's been doing that. It's given him more flexibility in his leg, more torque. you swing back, you swing forward, and you swing it through. He's good from 40, and he's been perfect in the preseason. The Bucs with a 13-6 lead here at Raymond James. Bucs with the lead and kicking off, and get fanatical Bucs coverage with the Tampa Tribune. Call 813-TRIBUNE and get home delivery. One of the best Sunday sports sections in the country. The Tampa Tribune, the official newspaper of the Bucs and their fans. We appreciate all the fans who turned out at the stadium tonight. Those Buc fans watching and that will be watching on Thursday night, the wrap-up preseason game from Houston, Texas, 8 o'clock Bucs kickoff time. McGee is deep for Jacksonville. From his goal line. Good special teams work across the 20. And a look at the McDonald's scoring drive by the Bucs moments ago, and it was a pretty good drive of 4.5 minutes before Connor Barth's field goal. McDonald's third-pound Angus burger. I'm loving it. Hot or cold, rain or shine, lightning or no lightning, you can go to Steve Jervey and the Storm Team 8 for the forecast you need to win. TV, print, online, on your phone, anywhere you are, they are there for you. Storm Team 8 means accuracy all the time. Get your weather from Storm Team 8, the official weather forecast of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And on first down, the Jags, a healthy gain and still running, is Brock Bolin from his fullback spot on a 1st and 10. And we've been staying informed by the Storm Team texts and updates on the weather in the area with possible, we haven't seen any rain, we have had lightning, and awaiting the next wave that might come this way. So we'll stay on top of it for you with 10 minutes to go here in the third quarter. The Bucs' second team defense in, including Myron Lewis on the corner on a 1st and 10. As Garrard stays in the game and gives to Mike Thomas, the receiver on the end run, who's into Buc territory across midfield. Nico Kudavides and Cody Grimm from the free safety spot running him down.
Cody Grimm is a young man who has really flashed. See David Garrard fake the ball to the halfback and Mike Thomas going on the reverse, but watch Nico Kudavides and Cody Grimm. Cody's one of these guys. I talked to Raheem Morris this week. He said, look, John, he's not supposed to be that fast, but he keeps passing people on film.
I was told that he has made this team by someone in the organization. You called it early, saying you thought he would, along with all the other draft picks this year, as Brock Bolin carries. For Jacksonville, the leading tacklers in the game, Quincy Black and Rondé Barber with 7 each, the starting unit. And, of course, Barrett Root had that big interception in the 80-yard return.
And one thing Raheem Morris mentioned to Dan Lucas as he went in for the first half is that, look, it might not have been real pretty, but the points. Jacksonville has 6 points at this point in the game. And, you know, that's something that was critical for the Bucs to improve upon. They allowed 25 points per game last year in 2009, which put them 27th in the league. This preseason thus far, 12.5 points per game. So you can allow people to have all the yards you want. The bottom line is don't let them on the scoreboard, and they've done a nice job of that this preseason.
On second down, Brock Bolin carries again. Michael Bennett brings him to the turf. Michael Bennett, a guy who has 2 sacks in the preseason. Is he a player, do you think, that is safe, has made this roster? Again, the smaller cut coming on Tuesday, but then on Saturday, a week from where this game is played, we're down to 53.
Yeah, Chris, you know, I'm chuckling because when you say safe, you know, I've been there before where I've been my first couple years where you're on that cut line and you're not safe until that first kickoff, till that whistle in the first game goes off. But Michael Bennett's a guy who's made plays throughout the preseason as well.
3rd and 4, Garrard. He's going to try and run for it. And he has a first down as he gets out of bounds around the 35-yard line of Tampa Bay. And Myron Lewis, the 3rd-round draft pick from Pompano Beach High School, and Vanderbilt ran him out.
This is a true story going back to 1994. I was a 3rd-round draft choice just the previous. I'm going into my 2nd year, and I think I'm pretty good on the roster. And we go, my wife Linda and I go out for a little breakfast with our starting quarterback at the time, Craig Erickson, and he won't let me see the Sunday paper. And I keep on trying to pull it. Well, turns out the Sunday paper had that I was cut. I wasn't cut, thank God. But according to that paper, I was cut. That taught me you're never safe until that first game goes off.
Garrard Underneath to Brock Boland. Tough running. The free agent from Louisville gets another Jacksonville first down. Then you can't believe everything you read, or at least until the coach tells you.
Thank God. David Garrard's still out there. And Brock Boland really with some impressive running, eluding almost the entire Tampa Bay Buccaneer defense.
You told me you had trouble with those low to the ground bowling ball kind of running backs.
Maurice Jones-Drew, the guy who's not playing tonight, he's a guy I had trouble with. He's so short you could barely see him. You come hit him, he just bounce right off you.
Yeah, he's only 5'7". Garrard underneath again. That's where he's been making a lot of the yardage tonight as Ernest Wilford hauls that in. Yeah, they've chipped away, but at the end settling for field goals, as you pointed out, and then the turnover. Jacksonville, I'm sure, anxious to try and get into the end zone. Dakota Watson, another one of those rookies, 7th-round draft pick, involved on that play.
Dakota Watson is, you look down at the field, it's hard to distinguish him from Quincy Black. And they're essentially clones, both 6'2", 240. They wear their socks the same way and kind of play the same way.
This is Chad Cackert carrying for the Jags, a rookie from New Hampshire. They added Kobe Smith from Louisville because no Maurice Jones-Drew. Didn't make the trip. No surgery. There were rumors about that, and that was shot down by the team. He just resting his knee. So it's going to be 3rd down and 1 now. We've seen this before. Bucs hoping for a stop from the 8-yard line, and their fans are into it. Garrard's probably just happy that Barrett Root isn't on the field. Brock Boland carries. Oh no, John.
Doesn't appear as if he got it. And this Buccaneer defense, I mean, we just saw David Garrard's stats, 24 for 29. Extremely proficient.
It is 4th down. Do you think they go for it here?
I think you do. I think in preseason, they want to see his offensive line. Jack Del Rio still has his starting offensive line in there. He wants to see them go get a first down and they get timeout.
Now, for a measurement here, you do have the option to call when it's close. And that'll give Jack Del Rio time to think about things. And David Garrard is a good running quarterback. Yeah, you got to go for it at this point. It's a good test all the way around.
And as I mentioned, I think Del Rio, he's got his starting offensive line still in there. He wants to see them. He wants to say, hey, fellas, we got 1 yard. And during the course of this season, when we need to get 1 yard, I need to be able to trust you. We may not have Jones-Drew, but go create me a hole. And let's see, Raheem Morris, conversely, is saying, hey, we don't have our starters in. Great test for these backups. Can you stop a starting unit going for it on 4th down?
Guys like James Ruffin and Ryan Sims, who are on the fringe of making this team, that are on the field right now. 5 defensive linemen again. We've seen everything in this game. 3-4, 4-3, and now on 4th and less than a yard. Brock Boland. And he has the first down for Jacksonville, powering inside the 5 of the Bucs. We'll give them 3 on the pickup. 4:20 to go here in the 3rd. And a 1st and goal.
Excuse me, Chris, that's exactly what Jack Del Rio got from his starting offensive line. They responded to the challenge. Good push. They get a 1st down. Now the challenge is, let's get it in the end zone. They've been down here before.
So from the 4.5-yard line, the first unit Jags are in against the reserve Bucs. Let's see how they measure up. And the reserve running game as Boland carries again and is pushed back in a hurry. A swarm of Buccaneers, swashbuckling defenders. That's because I couldn't see the number and point out exactly who made the tackle. I was stretching there, John. I thought you were going to bail me out.
It was Nico Kudavides.
Okay, well, now the camera's on him. Even
swashbuckling.
Even I could spot that. But it's 2nd and goal. And this is kind of fun for a young defense, or at least defensive players, as you said, that have a lot to prove if they can keep Jacksonville out this time. Second and goal. Sims Walker in motion to the left side. Gerard for the end zone and incomplete. Intended for Mike Thomas, and Cody Grimm was back there covering.
Now he might be safe. I believe your source.
Just
now.
Like that?
No, but Cody Grimm is, again, you know, not supposed to. I don't know what he ran as a 40 coming out, but wasn't supposed to be that fast. But the guy continues to make plays and run with wide receivers. He showed great closing speed and great ball skills there. And make his dad, an old hog, proud.
Russ Grimm, the Hall of Famer as a player and coaching with the Cardinals. Cody's only about 5'11" height-wise at Virginia Tech, but came up big on that play. So it is third and goal. Jags are going to use a timeout here. They've already gone for it on fourth to keep the drive alive. And we'll see with 2 tries here if they can get it into the end zone. The Bucs with a 13-6 lead here in the third quarter.
The crowd knows that the Buccaneers need to stop. Raheem Morris knows it as well. He pulls his guys, his defense, over to the sidelines, and he's exhorting them. Someone be the next Barrett Root. Someone make a play, and let's keep these guys out of the end zone once again.
Fourth trip in the red zone for Jacksonville. A field goal, an interception, a field goal. That's what they've wound up with. As Root looks on third and goal. Sims Walker to the left for Gerard. 2 receivers on his right. Penalty flag. Looked like the Bucs threatened pressure. That might have rattled the Jags before the snap.
And that picture right there, excuse me.
Offense, number 85. 5-yard penalty. Still third down.
Ernest Wilford, the infraction.
That picture of Raheem Morris calling his defense over, I think that's why he is a better head coach as a defensive coordinator. His true personality can come out. Last year when he was a manager, he kind of stand over there with his hands in his pocket, didn't know what to do. That's Raheem Morris, and that's what Rondé Barber was talking about, his ability to relate to his team.
4 wide receivers in for Gerard from the 9. End zone incomplete. There was pressure and good coverage. He was trying to get it to Mike Thomas. So now it's going to be 4th down and forget going for it. The Bucs did their job.
Once again, they did their job. Name of the game, keep them out of the end zone. And it hasn't been really pretty. Too many yards. They're already up near 300 yards are the Jacksonville Jaguars, but keep them out of the end zone, you'll win football games.
And our booth cam with John Lynch, Chris Myers here watching the Bucs. You get excited, even if it's third stringers in a preseason game at the end of the third quarter, if they can stop the offense, force a 27-yard field goal attempt. Scobie's been the weapon for the Jags, getting them on the board now 13-9 with 2:50 to play, and we're likely to see Rudy Carpenter take the field against Jack Del Rio's defense when we continue. The McDonald's scoring drive brought to you by McDonald's Third Pound Angus Burger. I'm loving it, and it's been field goal, field goal, field goal. Josh Scobie, the man for Jacksonville tonight, putting up all their points and be the first to play at the Glazer Children's Museum before it opens on September 25th. You can get in early. Log on to kidsgoldenticket.com for a chance to win and enter the code BUCS. The Jags, nearly 300 yards of offense for the Bucs, only 166. But that's enough with that big interception return and run back to set up the touchdown to have them out in front. Scobie kicks off, and it's Preston Parker in the end zone tonight, and those deep kicks keeping the Bucs return game from any excitement. So from the 20-yard line, Josh Johnson, 9 out of 14, 122 yards, and the Buc fans want more from their offense. Reserve receivers are in with Rudy Carpenter, and Michael Clayton is not one of them. He has not played in this game. Battling for a roster spot, the former first-round pick out of LSU. Meanwhile, Mike Williams, the star of this game, 4th-round pick out of Syracuse with 3 catches for 83 yards. As Carpenter enters the game, and a 1st and 10 from the 20-yard line. Much of the backups in it, and Derek Ward remains at running back.
I saw Michael Clayton with that visor. That's either usually means two things if you have the visor on. It's really good because you're done playing for the night, or really bad because you haven't played yet. And Michael Clayton hasn't.
Carpenter rolling, throwing, and incomplete. Looking for his tight end, John Gilmore. Spurlock is in the game at wide receiver, who had the touchdown catch last week and who briefly got in for the Wildcat before a penalty ruined that in the first quarter.
You're going to have some words with Kellen Winslow. He got his one chance at the Wildcat. But, you know, it's important for Tampa and Greg Olsen to get that Wildcat on film. You know what Cleveland's doing now? They're starting to work on Wildcat for that season opener. And you make other teams study if you just throw things like that out there.
Second down 10. Carpenter complete and in and out of the hands, incomplete. Gilmore, it's going to be third down. Let's check in with Dan Lucas.
Thank you, Chris. Gerald McCoy's down here already practicing his broadcast career. What do you mean after this play? Gerald, how much fun, first of all, has this experience been in the preseason, and what have you learned in the OTAs and now training camp?
First off, it's been a lot of fun, and I thank God for giving me the opportunity to do this. It's a dream of mine, and I'm having a blast. I've learned a lot. I had to learn it quick because I'm a starter, and I have a lot of responsibility out there on the line, and I have to know a whole bunch, and I had to learn it early. So, I mean, but it's been a fun experience. This is what I want to do my whole life, and I'm getting the opportunity to do it.
Critique yourself from sliding around in the Miami mud to tonight. We saw you and Brian make a play in the Jacksonville backfield. That's what they drafted you guys for.
Right, yeah. From the first game I played, I was a little nervous. I was kind of antsy to play, but, you know, each game I'm calming down more and more, and I'm getting more penetration, and I'm getting to the quarterback. I got a lot of hits on the quarterback tonight, and, you know, I plan to build on it each year.
Now, you guys giving up some yards tonight, but you've kept them out of the end zone so far. A lot of fans around the building getting a buzz. They feel like this is an exciting Bucs defense. How good do you think this unit can be with you guys and the mix of the older guys?
The thing is, you know, we don't want to be known as or seen as a young team that can't do it because we're young. I feel we have a great defense, and, you know, we haven't given up the points. We've given up more yards than we wanted to, but we've kept them out the end zone. And if we can eliminate, you know, those big plays, and we can take away those chunks of yards, and then, you know, you'll see it on paper.
All right, Gerald, thank you so much for your time. We're going to see you next week at all?
We'll see, man. I'll be there.
Thank you very much,
all right,
Gerald.
Appreciate it, man.
All right, guys, let's go back up to you.
Thanks, Dan. We'll have Gerald help us with the commentary. We will have Mark Dominic, the general manager, in the booth with us Thursday night for the Texans game. We always like to get his thoughts on the #1 draft pick of the Bucs, 3rd overall. And we have a penalty on the punt. A terrific special teams play by Derek Roberson, the defensive back, just smothering McGee on the return. And prior to that, on a 3rd down pass, Carpenter, the ball went off the hands of Derek Ward. But special teams coach Rich Bisaccia is upset about something.
During the kick, illegal block in the back, number 25 for the team. 35, 10-yard penalty, replay, 4th down.
So 2:20 to go in the 3rd. The penalty called on Cody Grimm. He went from 25 to 35. I'm assuming that's who he meant, the latter of the two.
He's not safe again.
It's that's how it goes. That's the life of a player.
That's what I'm saying. No, I'm just playing with you, Cody.
Up and down. Yes.
I'm just playing with you, Cody.
Every play counts. Every night's the Super Bowl. That's what I say, John Lynch. And you've got a ring to prove it. But that's what happens when you fight to the finish. So, but this will be an interesting re-kick because the rookie punter from Virginia Tech, Brent Bowden, who's had a good preseason so far, but has not been challenged at all. The job is his, and you don't want to kick yourself out of it. He has not had a great night tonight, so he's in his own end zone here. Not a lot of pressure, and that's not a great kick. At the 30.5-yard line, where the Bucs down it, that's a 20-yard punt. That might be something when the waiver wire hits. Might be looking for a challenger to that spot if he doesn't pick it up. Hey, great news for consumers. Monday at 11, Stacy Scheibel is on your side, explaining the brand new credit card and gift card rules, and there are rules that you can benefit from. So before you use a credit card to buy a Bucs jersey or a gift card or go to a sporting goods store, check out Stacy's 8 on your side consumer alert Monday night at 11 on News Channel 8, the official TV station of the Tampa Bay Bucs. And former Buck Luke McCown is in at quarterback. First time tonight. Chad Packard got the handoff and was hammered by the unhappy Savvy Piscatelli.
Well, as they say, competition brings out the best in everybody, and you want more physicality from Savvy Piscatelli. Well, here it is. That's a beautiful textbook hit by Savvy Piscatelli. Getting low, shooting his arms. I like to see that.
And Cackert, the rookie, probably feeling like he's up in New England somewhere. He stays in the game for McCown. Penalty flag. A timeout before the flag, and it was the Bucs who called the timeout. So no penalty. Each team now with 2 timeouts. Boy, Raheem's really into this defense. He's got, with a minute 24 to go in the third quarter, wants to make sure everybody's lined up right. And McCown, 4 years with the Bucs, started 3 games back in 2007. Shares the record of 15 straight completions with Steve DeBerg. And from the booth, John Lynch, Chris Myers, we thank, this is our production crew, of course, on our booth cam. We have Jimmy Starling directing, whose son, by the way, playing football, picked the number 47, like your son. Although your son wound up with it. That wasn't his first choice.
His 5th choice.
Also, Bruce Copeland, our producer, executive producer Todd Sullivan. We have Rick Odioso and James Petralco helping us in the booth. And we always have a good time calling Bucs preseason football here on News Channel 8. As McCown sets to throw and does. What a diving grab. And did he hang on? John Matthews has a Jacksonville touchdown.
Luke McCown, who has been sharp throughout this preseason, spins an absolute dart right down the middle of that Buccaneer defense. And wow, what a throw by Luke McCown. And John Matthews comes out with one heck of a catch.
And recalling those Buck days, but that catch, he had to leap and hang on, and he did. And the extra point, and the Jags now have a 3-point lead. Luke McCown, the ex-Buck, born and raised in Jacksonville, but that's Jacksonville, Texas. And happy to come back to Tampa Bay and deliver a strike for a touchdown. What happened on the defense here?
Watch him sit there, and Elbert Mack's actually in pretty good position. It was the only place that the throw could be. Luke McCown put it there, and John Matthews extends in traffic to make I mean, that's just a good throw, good catch. Sometimes the offense beats you.
So he does in one throw what David Garrard couldn't do in 2.5 quarters, even though Garrard put up good numbers, 24 out of 31, 211 yards, but no touchdowns, and he had the interception this drive. 2 plays, 30 yards. And the McDonald's scoring drive has McCown to Matthews. The M&M gang gives Jacksonville their first lead of this game since we had the early field goal.
McCown's throwing at a 66% clip throughout the preseason. His 5th touchdown.
You could challenge that if you want
it. Good, and good catch by our truck right there. Down by contact. Likely would have been down by contact had they reviewed it at the 1-yard line.
Because he was touched on the catch on the way in, and Parker's going to run it out this time. Preston has some room to the 25 and across the 25-yard line, where Rudy Carpenter, the offense, with 1:06 to go in the third, will take over, now trailing by 3. So we'll watch the wide receiver battle, and maybe that's one of the reasons the Bucs will want to throw it a little bit here. Reggie Brown, Michael Spurlock, Michael Clayton, who we have not seen at all tonight, battling for a roster spot. 3 that are set. They're probably going to keep 5, at least at the moment. And Kareem Huggins is in the game for the first time. The Bucs' leading rusher in the preseason, and he gets the football and is brought down in a hurry. That's a loss for Kareem Huggins. Those receivers, John, that we talked about, of those 4, and you had a couple of veterans in there, 2 likely to make it and 2 will not.
Yeah, you know, and this guy, by virtue of not playing at all, and this guy, by virtue of not playing well, didn't bode well for themselves tonight. Maurice Stovall has been injured. You know, and whether they have seen enough from Maurice Stovall over the years, the one thing Maurice Stovall has going for him is that he's a heck of a special teams player that really plays when you're down to the last guys on the roster, as well as Michael Spurlock.
Carpenter throws behind Spurlock and almost intercepted. Coverage by the Jags. Michael Coe from the corner spot. There's a flag down at the 15-yard line.
See the play action. And
see if you see holding in here.
Yeah,
Offense,
68.
68. That penalty just declined. Third down.
Xavier Fulton at the tackle spot.
Xavier Fulton said look out and then held on. He didn't want his quarterback to get hit. He got beat. Sometimes that's not a bad thing to do as an offensive lineman.
Josh Freeman watching from the coach's booth tonight. Josh Johnson started the game, worked into the third quarter, had a touchdown pass. Rudy Carpenter has taken over here and is in a hole on third down. Pass is complete to Ryan Purvis, but short of the first down and just short of the 30-yard line. It'll bring up a punting situation as the clock runs down here in the third quarter.
We've talked about the Bucs doing a nice job until that last series, keeping the Jaguars out of the end zone. But you keep on giving that many yards up, sooner or later it's going to bite you, and it eventually did with the Bucs.
On the KFC scoreboard, Bucs trail 16-13. Get a free cake with any 8-piece meal at participating KFCs. Glad you're with us from Raymond James Stadium. We have our 4 in the 4th, the burning questions that you want to know. John Lynch will give you his candid response, whether they relate to the Bucs or in and around the league. A punting situation for Tampa Bay and rookie Brent Bowden. Again, no relation to Bobby, from the 29 of Tampa Bay. And Scotty McGee, who's been the return man all night for Jacksonville, is back standing at his 25-yard line. Bowden gets into this one, a high kick. And a fair catch called for just at the 31.5-yard line. Don't miss out on the excitement of the Buccaneers' 2010 season opener, the home game against the Browns, on sale now. Tickets only $40 per game, starting at that low price. Call 800-745-3000 or visit Buccaneers.com to purchase tickets. That was a 40-yard kick and a penalty.
Into the kick. Jacksonville keeps the ball. First down.
Penalty called on the formation. We've had quite a few of those. So the 40-yard kick and the fair catch, 5 yards, will be tacked on for Jacksonville. They'll take over at the 37-yard line.
And this is not to make an excuse for the Bucs punt team, but oftentimes in preseason they'll really crack down on those illegal formations. Come regular season, those things get let go.
Jacksonville has had its share of penalties tonight. Adam Hayward in at middle linebacker as Chad Packard carries. Is spun around but gets out of the tackle.
Chad Packard on the carry.
And actually made something out of that play.
Stray Moore, who got him in the backfield, went to throw him down, but terrific balance by Chad Packard. Watch Stray Moore go to sling down Packard, and he puts that hand down and keeps his legs going. That's why you have to swarm tackle and get to the football. You can't ever assume that your teammate's going to bring him down.
Stray Moore, one of those fringe players on the defensive line. McCown to throw. Plenty of time. Out of the pocket, and he'll keep it for a first down at midfield. Our 4 in the 4th with John Lynch. Let me ask you here. Are you in favor of the 18-game regular season and the 2 preseason games, something that the NFL is talking about and says, hey, it may happen as early as 2012?
Well, I think it's going to happen. The owners want it to happen, and as a result, it's going to happen. I think it's going to be very hard on the NFL football players. 16 games is a marathon. I think you run the risk of cutting careers short when you play 2 more regular season games. You certainly would have to adjust the offseason schedule.
Quick pass complete to Mike Cosson, the backup tight end.
And I think there's a number of great stories. And you look at a guy like Kareem Huggins, who made the team last year in the preseason. I think back to when I was at Denver, Mike Shanahan used to talk all the time about a guy named Terrell Davis, who became an MVP of the league and of Super Bowls, who made it in his 3rd preseason game while the coach is on kickoff coverage. So those kind of stories would go out the door.
Can you get ready in 2 preseason games for the regular season?
Well, Rondé Barber in his 14th year can.
Okay.
Younger players, it's going to be tough, but coaches will adjust and they'll figure out a way. And like I said, I think it's just a matter of time as to when it happens.
Nice play by Myron Lewis on Taekwon Underwood. And they would expand the rosters. That's been talked about if we got to that position.
Watch Myron Lewis come up with a physical, nice form tackle there. And he's a guy they're very excited. He didn't show up on the stat sheet last week versus Kansas City, but yet when I sat down with Raheem Morris, he's one of the guys he really highlighted that John would continue to be excited about what this young man can do.
3rd down and 2 for McCown, and he's going to run it and get a first down with Brock Bolin, who's been a busy man in the backfield. Jacksonville with a fresh set of downs. What's our next 4 in the 4th? What's the one NFL rule that you would change or alter or tweak if you had the option, since we're talking about things that may change in the game?
No more fines on safety. My wallet's a lot lighter.
Oh, come on.
I didn't worry about it when I was playing.
You got to crack down on those guys who take advantage of defenseless receivers.
Sir.
All
right.
right.
The defenseless safeties.
So let them play defense. McCown throws. Well, almost a little head-hunting job there. A clean hit on John Matthews. And the officials, they have been instructed, John, as you know, and Jerome Boger has been busy tonight with this crew, to err on the side of caution in terms of safety. That's going to be a priority, and oftentimes that takes away what some of the defensive players like to do, even if it's within the rules.
Yeah, and I know Roger Goodell, he has a responsibility to take care of the safety of the players, but you can't take the football out of football. And that's something that I'll always believe. 2nd
down 10 for McCown. He fakes one way and throws way short, incomplete, and out of bounds. Pressure on the play. We saw Michael Bennett and Eric Lorig, number 97, and the rookie from Stanford, who's one of those draft picks that could make the team, depending upon how many defensive linemen are kept.
Well, he's certainly a guy that has impressed the coaching staff. Raheem Morris talks about his athletic ability and his relentless motor, but these guys are all on the bubble. Roster spots are tight, and a guy like Lorig could certainly help his case by making plays out here tonight.
On 3rd and 10, Bucs threatened as if they were going to send more, and here they come. Picked up, time for McCown, completes, and just knocked down, or he might have dashed toward the end zone. Inside the 30 is Clarence Denmark, who made that catch. And did he get the first down? No, it's a 4th down, and they're going to settle for the field goal here. Actually marked it back a little bit. So that was an excellent tackle to keep him from not only getting a first down, and that was Myron Lewis again.
He's hit that. Myron Lewis has made a nice play there, and he's fortunate because the receiver's hitting his head on the goalpost if he doesn't make that play. They were in an all-out blitz, no free safety help, and he better have brought him down, or that was touchdown Jaguars.
From 48 yards out, Josh Scobie has been perfect tonight. The kick this time is up, out, and through. So now a 6-point Jacksonville advantage with 10:52 to go in the 4th quarter. The Bucs on the short end of a 19-13 score here in the 3rd preseason game. The Bucs coming to you from Raymond James in a 19-13 game with Jacksonville on News Channel 8 WFLA. And the McDonald's scoring drive winds up in another Josh Scobie field goal, nearly 4 minutes, and making it from 48 yards out. Brought to you by McDonald's. I'm loving it. And Josh Freeman, who watched much of the first half from upstairs in the coaching booth, down there with center Jeff Fain and backup Josh Johnson, who tonight got the start.
Josh better watch out. Josh Freeman, Raheem Morris going to kick him off the sideline like he's been doing every day at practice.
Snaring the return is Preston Parker, waiting for some blocks and gets across the 30 before being pushed back. And two young quarterbacks, one at his second, one at his third, the future of the Tampa Bay Bucs. And we'll get a look on offense in just a moment. In a game that began with a couple of field goals in the first quarter and then a lightning suspension for about a half hour or so. David Garrard working into the third quarter for Jacksonville. Josh Johnson for the Buccaneers. And since it's been Luke McCown for Jack Del Rio's team and for Raheem Morris, Rudy Carpenter, free agent pickup out of Arizona State who had been with the Cowboys, eligible for the practice squad. Kareem Huggins in the game, following Cadillac Williams and Derek Ward. Carpenter to throw, and for Spurlock, tipped away at midfield by Michael Coe. It'll be second down 10. Javon Sneed picked up, the Ole Miss quarterback who left college early, was not drafted, signed by the Bucs, but then released before training camp. He's on the roster at the moment. The first cuts coming on Tuesday, down to 75. So now Carpenter maybe gets new life as we wait for the thumb to heal of Josh Freeman. And the Bucs will use a timeout here, so they'll have one remaining. Gives us a chance with John Lynch, Chris Myers, Dan Lucas to throw out another question, our 4 in the fourth. And Michael Clayton has not played. Derek Ward ran better than he has in the previous preseason game. So my question, will Derek Ward and Michael Clayton be with the Bucs when they start the regular season? Will both? One? None? What do you think?
Well, I'm trying to figure out. Michael Clayton certainly hasn't had an opportunity to go show he's worthy of being on this roster tonight. Now, he's had his time here with the Buccaneers. Maybe they know what they have in him. They want to see some other young players, but he hasn't taken that visor off all night. We're going to have to ask Mark Dominic next week on that. My inclination would be that that he is not going to be on the roster. Now with Derek Ward, I think he had a nice showing for himself. I think he showed that burst, and like I said, I think you can't have enough depth at that position, particularly with the injury history of Cadillac Williams. I believe he is on the roster.
And Huggins carries here, knocked down right away. Clayton said to be the best blocker of the wide receivers, but we've seen the young receivers, Mike Williams and Aurelius Men, show they can block. When you're a receiver, you're supposed to catch the football, and when you're a running back, you need to run with it. And Derek Ward showed some of that tonight, but Clayton certainly would be a cost to the Buccaneers, to the salary cap, if they were not to keep him on the roster.
And if he weren't on this roster, I guarantee you someone would pick him up and pick him up quick. I know. Maybe
even the general manager in Washington, who was part of bringing him here to Tampa Bay in the first place.
I know Mike Shanahan is,
tipped in the air and incomplete. Carpenter's attempt.
Mike Shanahan, who's up there with Bruce Allen, is a guy who was very high on Michael Clayton when he came out of school as well. And Derek Ward, I think, showed that burst that he had back in New York back in 2008, and we didn't see last year much of, and we haven't seen for sure this preseason. He showed himself a lot better here today.
He will turn 30 years old on Monday. At age 30 with running backs, always something that came up with Raheem Morris. Hey, you get a little older, you got to take a little extra care of yourself. Conditioning a little more important, as Scotty McGee is back for Brent Bowden's punt on fourth down. The Bucs offense has stalled, and another fair catch just beyond the Jacksonville 30, and that is a 39-yard punt with no return. We'll have more. Get a look at some of the Bucs on defense when we continue from Raymond James Stadium. Friday, September 10th, 7:30, Janice Live hosts the official kickoff party presented by Miller Lite. Buck players will be there, the cheerleaders. And performances by Paper Tongues and McMaster Mike. Visit Buccaneers.com. I thought that was like a tongue twister that they gave just to see if I was paying attention.
McMaster Mike.
Meanwhile, Luke McCown mixing it up here as he dumps it off to Kobe Smith on 1st and 10, so that'll bring up a second down. By the way, the Rays, a game-winning homer by Dan Johnson to beat the Red Sox 3-2 in 10 innings. On this Saturday evening, the Rays pushing toward the postseason. Don't forget Thursday night from Houston 8 o'clock, Bucs bonus pregame show at 7:30 on News Channel 8 WFLA. It's live, no blackout. And at the half, we'll hear from Gerald McCoy, the #1 pick, 3rd overall, and he has something to do with one of our 4 in the 4th questions I want to hit you with. As McCown looks to throw, strong arms it, and a nice connection at midfield. Reaching up to grab it was Troy Williamson, the former first-round pick of the Vikings.
Those two hooked up
and
for
laid out on the field at Savvy Piscatelli, who is injured, John.
Savvy Piscatelli came over to finish off Troy Williamson, knock him out of bounds, and see the Jaguars training staff attending to Savvy, but Troy Williamson is a guy with a ton of potential, ton of speed and explosiveness. 73-yard touchdown in their first game against the Eagles from Luke McCown.
We'll check on the injury of Savvy Piscatelli and continue in a moment. Savvy Piscatelli up and walking, and Raheem Morris was over there in a hurry to check on his safety. He took a tough shot when he hit Troy Williamson after Williamson holding the sideline catch. And the rain starting to fall here at Raymond James.
And Raheem Morris asked for more physicality out of Savvy Piscatelli, and Savvy's certainly done his job in bringing that physical nature to the game here today. And that one, he gave up his body. He came up hurting a little bit, but unfortunately got up and walked off the field under his own power.
And you got to be careful that the helmet to helmet, otherwise you get the flag and the fine.
No helmet to helmet there.
You chuckle as a defensive back who delivered a lot of hits. In fact, NFL Films has you as one of the top 10 most feared tacklers all time in NFL history. That's quite a compliment, you know.
It is. Quite a my cousin, Corey Lynch.
no relation.
No relation.
He's a guy, he blocks kicks. You tackled people and delivered tough hits, tough, clean hits, we like to say. You always talk about what Ronnie Lott taught you. I think Ronnie Lott, Dick Butkus, for you to be on that list, that's pretty impressive.
Pretty humbling stuff.
Played a lot of years, delivered a lot of hits as McCown throws behind his receiver, Mike Costin, who was the tight end on the pattern. And the rain continuing to fall now on 3rd down and 9. Josh Scobie, a field goal in each quarter and a touchdown toss from Luke McCown to John Matthews is how Jacksonville got all of its points. Connor Barth, a couple of field goals, and Ernest Graham, a short touchdown catch thrown by Josh Johnson. That's been the scoring in the game here in the 4th quarter with just over 8 minutes to play. 3-man front. Pass is dumped off to Brock Bolden. He gets down inside the 40-yard line.
Good job by the Buccaneer defense swarming to the ball and Brock Bolden and getting him down before the 1st down marker. Will bring up a 4th down for the Jags, who appear to be going for it.
4th and short from the 40. Remember, no Maurice Jones-Drew in this game for Jacksonville. They're set up in what looks like a throwing situation. They do, and they get the 1st down. Pass complete to Roran Thomas. As McCown keeps the drive alive for Jacksonville, protecting a 6-point lead.
Luke McCown, who Buck fans are familiar with, continues to look sharp in this preseason, delivering a ball very accurately to Thomas near the sideline for a 1st down.
Hand off to Kobe Smith. So our final question here, John, who will have the most immediate impact for their team this season of the top 3 draft picks? Sam Bradford, the starter for the Rams likely, and Ndamukong Suh, who went to the Lions, and our own Gerald McCoy of the Tampa Bay Bucs. The most immediate impact.
I tell you, after what I've seen tonight, I'm a little more inclined to say Gerald McCoy, but I think by nature of the position he plays, Sam Bradford, who's playing quarterback, and I believe will be starting after what he did versus the Patriots the other night. Looked very good versus the New England Patriots. I think Sam Bradford's going to have a big impact on that organization in St. Louis.
On 2nd down 9, McCown's pass is dropped. He's in and out of the hands of Mike Cosson. And yeah, the quarterback position, he'll be without Donnie Avery, top receiver, who unfortunately injured in the preseason, out for the year for the Rams. But you figure, and Ndamukong Suh and McCoy, there were some teams that said, hey, those guys could go either way in the draft. And obviously Detroit went for Suh, and the Bucs wound up with McCoy.
We saw another young rookie in that class last week in Eric Berry, who really impressed me as a safety. And I think he'll have a great impact over in Kansas City this year. Good rookie class, really. You look at the top 5, and all those guys, I think, are going to have big contributions to their team.
3rd and 9. Plenty of time, and it's intercepted. He threw it right into the arms of Nico Kudavides, who's looking for somewhere to run. Don't go backwards, Nico. Don't. All right, well, he's brought down inside the 20. Special team star, backup linebacker, who was in the right place at the right time.
And Nico's my old buddy, played football with him at the Denver Broncos, but obviously didn't play running back anywhere in his past. You're going the wrong way. Jim Marshall here.
Good news is he caught it.
He did catch it.
Second interception of the game for the Bucs defense. Barrett Ruud had a big one in the first half.
Great camel work as you see it, and as they say, don't miss the layup. Threw it right to him.
John, that looks like maybe Luke McCown expected a receiver to be going into that area.
There was some miscommunication, because Luke McCown, playing as well as he has this preseason, doesn't just throw a football up like that.
Kareem Huggins for a couple of yards. Came in averaging over 6 yards a carry on the practice squad for much of the season last year for the Bucs. And there is Nico Kudavides. Now back to Huggins, you know, his first NFL game, it was in December against the Jets in terms of a regular season after excellent preseason last year. And as you pointed out, before you're going to give him the backup job, you know, Derek Ward's a guy who's been there. And in real game, real situations, Huggins has yet to really run and carry the load in those situations in a regular season game. Hoping to have that opportunity at some point this year. Carpenter to Ryan Purvis, who has a Tampa Bay first down. Let's check in on Savvy Piscatelli's injury situation with Dan Lucas. Dan?
All right, Chris, the word from the Buccaneers, a mild concussion for Savvy. Took that shot there. He delivered the shot, rather, and the head bent sideways there. A mild concussion, obviously done for the night, and we will see in a short week what that means for him in the final preseason game, guys.
Thanks, Dan, for updating that, because concussions, as the league, John, you pointed out, much more careful about that as our teams. John Alston battling that also on this Tampa Bay team. Carpenter deep, and just off the fingertips of Michael Spurlock.
Michael Spurlock turned down those Jets. Rudy Carpenter got back and just threw that ball about as far as he could, and Michael Spurlock, to say impressive effort and a no catch, but he really went after that ball and almost made a fantastic catch.
Just did get one hand on that. Spurlock at his second go-round with the Bucs.
Spurlock, one of those guys, as we've mentioned throughout the game, going for one of those last and vying for one of those last receiver spots. His return ability, I think, has got to help him as well.
Absolutely, John. Will always have a place in Buccaneer history for the first return as the pass is complete across the 40-yard line. Again, it's Ryan Purvis from the tight end spot. 2007 making Buck history with the kickoff return for a touchdown after 3 decades or so in the history of the franchise. And he's also had a punt return and a run back against the Saints last year. But in a battle trying to make the team, you know, he might benefit too as a quarterback in an emergency situation. A lot of versatility. You talk about how that helps guys like Jeremy Zutaw or some defensive players with special teams. That might help Michael Spurlock in the big picture. Carpenter on 3rd and 6, and just outside of Terrence Nunn. And the hit came a little bit late, but no flags yet. A 4th down for Tampa Bay. The Bucs released Chris Brooks this week, wide receiver, also Hunter Lawrence, the rookie kicker, and they've been given a brief chance in camp. So Terrence Nunn and Preston Parker, he talked about those other receivers, 2 out of 4 are going to make it. It's almost as if those two are headed for a practice squad or somewhere else.
And Preston Parker's a guy who has impressed this preseason. He's played a good brand of football as a receiver, as a returner, as a special team player, covering kicks. He's had a nice preseason, and we'll see, was it enough for Preston Parker to be on this roster?
Using the bounce to his advantage is Bowden, and it gets inside the 10, where we'll call it a 51-yard kick with the roll. His best boot of the night. Jacksonville, 3.5 minutes to go, and a couple of timeouts as Sammy Piscatelli, dealing with the concussion, headed to the locker room. Next week, don't miss our final preseason broadcast of the year on News Channel 8. The Bucs and the Texans live from Houston. The Bucs bonus pregame show with Dan Lucas starting at 7:30. Kickoff at 8. Fanatical Bucs coverage here, always here, bringing you the best in preseason football on the Buccaneers on News Channel 8, the official TV station of the Buccaneers. First down from the 7. Colby Smith carries. Going to get a little slick out there in terms of holding on to the football. The Bucs just have one timeout.
Tackled by number 49, Lee Robinson.
Lee Robinson in on the tackle, reserve linebacker.
And plenty of time, Chris, for the Bucs right here. You get a stop right here, you're going to give yourself and Rudy Carpenter at the quarterback position an opportunity to go down there and win this football game.
Second down, 8. McCown has time and then decides to keep it, and is brought down on the 12, 13-yard line by Lee Robinson. That'll bring up a third down. We have a timeout called by the Bucs. So the Bucs will have no timeouts remaining. 2 for Jacksonville, and time for your TBO, mobile player of the game. Our crew, our staff voting here, and it's Mike Williams. 3 catches, the rookie from Syracuse, with a big 55-yard gainer. But everything in and around him, even the throws that aren't that perfect, he has been able to hold on to. So he is our TBO, mobile player of the game, and I think he'll be the player of a lot of games for the season ahead. The superstar receiver that they snatched in the 4th round.
One of the interesting things Raheem Morris told me is that Mike Williams is starting to become a leader of this team. His personality is starting to come to the forefront. He had some issues at Syracuse, and Raheem said when he first got here he didn't want to get in trouble, so he didn't say anything. Now he's starting to be a little more vocal, and as a rookie taking leadership of this team.
And who on the defense will step up here on 3rd and 4? McCown, the quick pass to his fullback, who slips one tackle, but Brock Bolin, I'm sorry, that's Chad Cackert, who is brought down short of the first down marker by Dakota Watson.
A real nice job by Corey Lynch, you know, and you don't always have to make the tackle, but you got to go slow someone up, and you do that by stealing the grass, as they say. He went and took the action to the running back, and Dakota Watson came and helped his buddy out by hustling to the football. Real nice job by 2 young players, and Corey Lynch and Dakota Watson, getting the Buccaneers off the field and giving them an opportunity to win the football game here.
Corey Lynch, who played his high school football in Fort Myers, a couple of block kicks last year, blocked one in the preseason already this year. And Preston Parker back at the 35 and ran back and lost yardage, a yard or 2. And that's where the Bucs offense will take over with Rudy Carpenter, the quarterback, and 2:29 to go. So you'll have the 2-minute warning. But the Bucs are out of timeouts, trailing by 6.
Rudy Carpenter is a guy who has really impressed the coaching staff and myself as well with his ability to bring his football team down the field. Raheem continues to call him a gamer. You know, I see a guy who's a gunslinger. He's not afraid to go back there, let her rip. He trusts himself very much. Was a real successful player at Arizona State. Had a really good preseason. Another great opportunity for him to show his mettle here.
Bucs have a chance to pull out a win, despite, you just saw that yardage, total yardage in the game, nearly 400 for Jacksonville. Carpenter throwing, And Spurlock has it just short of where the first down marker is. Didn't get out of bounds. Tried to. There's a flag down. It came in late in the area of Carpenter. Jerome Boger, our referee, has been busy tonight. We'll give you a penalty total in a moment
After
here.
the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, offense, number 77. 15-yard penalty from the end of the run, end of the pass. Tampa keeps the ball, first down.
So that's on James Lee, the ex-Cleveland Brown, from his tackle spot as Spurlock makes the catch. But that's going to be pulled back because of the penalty.
What a critical mistake by James Lee. You got the ball back. Rudy Carpenter does a nice job getting the ball out to Michael Spurlock, and you can't get things personal. You know, offensive linemen, defensive linemen get in battles, but it can't become personal to the point where you cost your team an opportunity, and that hurts right there.
So instead of second and a couple, Carpenter gets drilled at the 15-yard line. 3 Jags were in on him before you could say his name. And so it's going to be 3rd and long.
They bring the pressure. The center goes right, the pressure comes left. Not a good equation, and Rudy Carpenter has no chance.
5 penalties, 50 yards for the Bucs, and that last one hurt. 9 penalties for Jacksonville. On 3rd and 26, Carpenter is in trouble. Penalty flag, and he just throws it in the air. It's intercepted. Just inside the 45-yard line, picked off by Tyron Brackenridge.
They have a holding on James Lee. Again, not a good series for James Lee.
Well, with the interception here, Jacksonville gets the football if the penalty is on the Bucs.
There are 2 fouls on the play. Ineligible player downfield, offense, number 61. That penalty is declined. Holding, offense, number 77. That penalty is declined. The result of the play is the interception. First down, Jacksonville.
The interception for Jack Del Rio's team. That's the 3rd play in this game that we have had 2 penalties called on the same play. We have reached the 2-minute warning here in Tampa Bay. Welcome back to Raymond James Stadium. 1:49 to go, and since the Bucs are out of timeouts and the Jags have the football and the lead, likely they're going to sit on this and run the clock out. And Jack Del Rio and the Jags, after losing a couple of close preseason games, will get their first win of the year. The Bucs will fall to 1-2 in the preseason with Houston on Thursday night. Let's take a look at the Acura drive of the game as the rain falls here in Tampa Bay. Acura advance. It was a drive that was set up by defense. Barrett Root intercepts Garrard when he was at the 1-yard line, and an 80-yard return by the Bucs middle linebacker, and then Josh Johnson to Ernest Graham for a touchdown. The only touchdown of the game for the Buccaneers. And that is your Acura drive of the game. Acura advance. Clock continuing to run, and the Jags continuing to kneel. Tuesday we cut to 75 players, and then September 4th, Saturday, down to 53.
And not a fun week for players around the league when that cut date deadline comes around. A lot of players going home and their dreams are going to be shattered, but a lot of players continue to survive as they try to battle to make an NFL roster.
Jacksonville moved up and down the field, got 1 touchdown, and that was on a Luke McCown toss to John Matthews. But overall, Raheem Morris's defense, a pretty good job, first and second stringers, keeping Jacksonville out of the end zone. And the final score here on a game that had a little bit of everything. Suspended play because of lightning, a little rain at the end. There's Luke McCown, the former Buck, saying hi. Numerous penalties, and a final score of Jacksonville 19 and Tampa Bay 13. Josh Johnson with the touchdown toss. likely to be the guy we'll see in Houston, or some of the reserves will get activity on Thursday night. We'll have more in a moment.